Well, just last month, a new discovery was made, and it's this article here. A neutron star crash seen for the first time. That's, of course, an artist's conception. They barely got a flicker of enough to even tell that this was happening or something like it, so it gave them some hints. And this is a pretty cool discovery, and it actually does verify the gravitational wave thing. There were X-ray bursts coming out of this thing, some spectra of some interesting elements, and it even says here that this is really the last missing piece of the periodic table. Gold, silver, platinum, and other heavy elements such as uranium were formed after the collision about 10 to 100 times the Earth's mass in gold was spewed out into space. Well, it's true that some events that can involve nuclear reactions and fusion processes could create heavier elements. That's how we artificially make heavier elements here on Earth. But to say that it brings in the missing part of the periodic table, in the first place, they'd never told us they had a missing part of the periodic table before about how they could imagine that stars could make the heavier elements. And it really is, supernovas can only make things up to iron in any great amounts, and maybe a supernova could make heavier elements than that. But there's something they're calling the R process. The R process, which could actually happen if neutron stars collided, because it requires a lot of neutrons. Now, this thing also, about 100 or 10 times the mass of the Earth, a bunch of gold came out. They caught a little bit of a spew in a spectrum and guesstimated. That's a factor of 10 times different, which lets you know they're guessing. I'm not saying there wasn't any gold there. I'm sure there was. It really makes some sense that this would happen. But do neutron stars collide that often that all of the gold in the universe and that is on our planet came from those stars colliding in the past? I think they still have a missing piece to account for all the gold. They can't account for all the carbon either. They can't account for a lot of things, but they're getting closer in their model. They always separate the data from the hopeful, wishful thinking. The data is they did find these gravitational waves. The data is that they did see some spectra of some heavier elements, which is kind of cool. And that's real. The little glow lasted 100 seconds, a space-time ripple that the detectors picked up. That's cool that they've discovered that. Neutron stars probably collapsed into a black hole. They're not sure, of course. Black holes wouldn't emit light. It's really interesting the way that they've done this, and I think it's a great achievement. I'm picking up a glow of visible light where none had been before. It looked like a new star. By the way, they're always looking for new stars, and they've never found one before. They've never actually been able to find any example of a brand new baby star flickering to life, which we should see all the time. See, it says here that when this happened, they even showed a picture. The telescope saw a spot of light where none had been before. Well, it was these two previously created stars crashing into each other that made this bright explosion thing happen. Right there where the two little red arrows are pointing is where the new flicker of light was. We should be seeing this in the star birthing nebulas all over the entire universe, but we never do. Collision of previously created stars, but no new stars we've ever been able to document have ever been formed. The R process is thought to have produced about half the elements heavier than iron. Well, if it only happens when neutron stars collide, I think that there's probably not enough of those needle in a haystack collisions to have done this, even in 15 billion years. But still, I think it's very, very cool that they have found this. Gamma ray bursts appearing in the sky 50 times a year. You know, we used to think it was black holes, the gamma ray bursts in the atmosphere, but atmosphere actually of our planet can produce gamma ray bursts every time there's a lightning bolt. So we used to think there were many more black holes out there, since gamma ray bursts are predicted to come out of matter streaming into a black hole. Well, so many cool things. Don't forget, the big thing here is separate the data from the wishful thinking. Now, they've observed something, but they're feeding into, oh yeah, God didn't make all the elements in the universe, all the periodic table, but stars did it. And even the idea of worshiping stars, like that professor who used to be at Case Western Reserve University, and now he's at Northern Arizona State University, and he's all about, oh yeah, you should thank stars, not Jesus, because stars died for you. They blew up to make all the elements in your body. I think that's worshiping stars, and the Bible says not to worship stars or the sun, which of course is a star just really close to us. It is interesting that they have gotten a better measurement on the expansion of the universe by doing this, and recalculated the Hubble constant a little better. It used to be between 67 and 73 kilometers per second, but now they realize that the universe is expanding at 70 kilometers per second. By the way, a parsec is 3¼ light years. That is a parsec. It's not second for time, it's second for seconds, minutes, and degrees of arc across the sky. And that's a bigger story. But they're zeroing in on a lot of really cool and good scientific things. Remember, as Carl Sagan even said, use your baloney detector. Figure out how much of this is data and how much of it is wishful thinking. It was in the early 2000s that the IRS infrared astronomical satellite detected the thermal ripple at the edge of the universe. And since that goes along with the Big Bang, they said it proved a Big Bang. But there's a couple dozen other ways the thermal ripple could be there by other models of the universe, including the God model from Genesis. But because it went with their model and didn't go against it, which is rare and more rare these days, they just claimed it as proof. That's another thing for you to remember. Evidence and proof are not the same thing. Evidence means it might be true, or could be. It's possible now, but that doesn't mean you proved that your particular model that indicates this evidence would be there is the only model that can. You keep thinking, and yes, Merry Christmas. We'll probably talk to you again before then. God bless. Dr. Jackson.